The Baha'i faith is unusual among religious traditions in that it has neither rituals, priests, or missionaries. Yet somehow it has grown to become the second most widespread religion on earth. Fundamentally, it is a heart-to-heart process, springing from the desire of individual Baha'is who, without rank, station, or special authority, simply share the teachings of Baha'u'llah with others. In their efforts to become world citizens, Baha'is often travel to explore the lives of people in other lands, searching to find the common human bonds. These young Baha'is, well-known popular music singers from New Zealand, are traveling through Ciskei in the South African homelands, making new friends, enjoying the familial fellowship of the old and well-established Baha'i communities of the area, and sharing their enthusiasm for the Baha'i teachings with anyone who is interested. It is a scene repeated in a myriad variations every day in every corner of the planet. This sense of spiritual unity is welded into an integrated functioning social entity, a truly united world community through the operation of the Baha'i administrative order. It is a system for social governance established in the teachings of the Baha'i faith and characterized by principles of consultation and democratic election. It is April 21st, the beginning of the Festival of Rizwan, and the Baha'is of the village have gathered for the election of their local spiritual assembly. There have been no nominations, no discussions of any persons who should be elected. This simple, serene, and deeply spiritual process is taking place on this very day in more than 110,000 communities around the world. Every city, town, and hamlet where there are 9 or more adult Baha'is. The spiritual assembly, which is elected by this process, operates as an organic whole through the mechanism of consultation. Its members, who have no individual authority, are not leaders, but servants of the community. The same principles of spiritual election and consultation animate the process of forming the national and international administrative structures of the faith. On April 23rd, members of the 165 national spiritual assemblies began arriving in the Holy Land for the 7th International Convention and the unique process of electing the Universal House of Justice. Several days of spiritual preparation preceded the opening of the convention. Most delegates first visited the Shrine of the Bab, martyred herald of the new revelation, nestled amidst the beautiful gardens on the side of Mount Carmel. The physical remains of Baha'u'llah are interred beneath the floor of this room. It is the resting place of one cherished as the Lord of the age, the most sacred spot on earth, evoking deep feelings of reverence, awe, and respect. Visitation of this spot and the simple act of prayer and meditation at the threshold of the Shrine of Baha'u'llah causes the members of the National Spiritual Assemblies to reflect deeply on the meaning and purpose of their gathering. The delegates also visited nearby Akka. It is an ancient city known from biblical times. The city walls and fortifications speak of its medieval efflorescence and the subsequent centuries of decline to become the remote penal colony to which Baha'u'llah was banished in 1868. At the prison, delegates visited the cell where he was confined with some 70 companions, men, women, and children, for 2 years. The House of Abud is where Baha'u'llah lived under house arrest for 9 years and revealed his book of laws, the Kitab-i-Aqdas. The compound known as the House of Abdullah Pasha was the home of Abdul Baha for many years, the place where he received the first Western pilgrims, and the birthplace of his grandson, Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the faith from 1921 to 1957.
Coming here and being privileged to visit all the holy places has made me feel I'm so humble before the majesty of it all.
Make me feel so happy.
Je ne connais pas de mots justes pour
I
exprimer
don't
cela.
have words to express my feelings.
C'est quelque chose que je sens
It's
à
something that I
l'intérieur de
feel
moi-même,
inside myself,
comme quand il y a de l'énergie dans un moteur qui lui permet d'avancer.
or as energy in a motor that enables us to move forward.
Toucher ces endroits, faire des prières pour des amis, pour des
To
parents
live these
à
moments,
ces
to
endroits.
be able to say prayers for our friends in these places,
Je pense que c'est quelque chose qui se vit davantage plutôt que s'exprime à
it's
travers des mots.
something that you live inside rather than express outwardly.
Но такое ощущение, feeling, что меня переполняет что-то, что я полна чем-то. Внутри есть что-то много-много-много. Вот, и что я смогу, может быть, маленький кусочек всего этого отдать каждому, когда я вернусь домой, по маленькому-маленькому кусочку.
I am a Baha'i since birth. My grandfather was a Baha'i, and my parents are Baha'is. So I think my grand now, he is happy where to see me in this place. I just feel like I was dreaming. I didn't believe that I was seeing the picture of Abdul Baha, of Baha'u'llah, of Bab, and their clothes and all the things that they use. So I'm very happy to have this opportunity. That's all I can say. And I thank Baha'u'llah to give this opportunity for the first Mozambican to come to the Holy Land.
I think we cannot really explain what we feel. It's just the love and peace and power, which I hope we'll be able at least to tell about or to make our friends in our country to feel through us, because they cannot come here now.
Following 5 days of spiritual preparation, the convention opened with the election of the Universal House of Justice.
We all know that Baha'i elections are the very opposite of human elections. The political elections of the world are carried on with a great deal of egotism, ambition, self-advertisement, conceit. And the Baha'i election is turned into a reality, a spiritual reality, by praying to Baha'u'llah for guidance, meditating, doing the best we can, making the best choices we can, and then quietly casting our ballot for our supreme body.
We will proceed with dignity, with complete openness, and in an atmosphere of intense devotion, love, and spirituality. In this, we will do our best to give an example to this troubled world we live in of that new kind of democracy which Baha'u'llah has brought.
The election is characterized by the same simplicity as that of each local spiritual assembly. However, the parade of all the nations and peoples of the world in this global electoral process generates a true sense of majesty.
It's a very beautiful process and a very sobering one for the elector because there is so much responsibility given to the individual.
Et qu'on pense que la Maison universelle de justice sera l'institution la plus importante.
When you think that in the future the House of Justice will become the most important institution for humanity,
on a le sentiment d'apporter comme un morceau de pierre pour l'édification du monde de demain.
it's like I have the feeling as though I'm bringing a stone for the edification of a structure for tomorrow.
The respect for the people, for each other, and the discreet way of making their ballot, the enthusiasm also, and the seriousness was something I think people don't realize.
First-time participation by the newly formed National Spiritual Assemblies of the former East Bloc countries generated considerable excitement in the hall. Conspicuously absent from the election was the Baha'i community of Iran. A few days before the convention, U.S. President Clinton cited Iran's abusive treatment of the Baha'is as one of today's critical human rights issues.
Treatment of the Baha'i in Iran, the endless race-based violence.
Most recently, news was received that Tehran municipal officials are destroying Baha'i grave sites and removing the bodies to an undisclosed location. Sections of the Baha'i cemetery have been leveled with bulldozers, adding further to the suffering of the world's oldest Baha'i community. The roses on the stage of the convention served as a constant reminder of their heroism and sacrifice. Following the election balloting, the participants gathered on the steps of the seat of the Universal House of Justice for a group photo. They then gathered near the Shrine of the Bab to commemorate the 9th day of Rizvan. The Holy Day observance concluded with a respectful circumambulation of the shrine. The following morning, the assembled delegates received the election results and greeted the new Universal House of Justice.
No words of mine can adequately express the feelings surging within the hearts of those that you have chosen and have elected to be the members of the Universal House of Justice. All I can say on our behalf is that we humbly bow our heads in obedience to your verdict. And we pray that Baha'u'llah may assist us.
The convention also acknowledged the services of two retiring members of the Universal House of Justice, Mr. Hugh Chance and Dr. David Rue. For the remainder of the convention, the delegates engaged in wide-ranging consultations about the affairs of the faith and the endless challenges involved in building the world order of Baha'u'llah.
The question now is, how are we, members of the National Spiritual Assemblies, training our local spiritual assemblies, and how do their local spiritual assemblies training systematically the individuals within the community?
For the development of human resources both in the Baha'i faith and outside the Baha'i faith, I would like to suggest that national spiritual assemblies consider the formation of national Baha'i societies.
If these people of capacity in this country, I'm speaking of our country, will get the idea of the faith, they will be helpful not just for their own societies, but for the whole world.
Another issue is how to rely on or draw on the power of the Holy Spirit.
Pero vi que el plan de 3 años estaba ganado.
Much consultation revolved around the launching of the 3-year plan, the sixth in a series of global plans of growth and development which have been instrumental in the remarkable spread of the Baha'i faith around the world.
Development of human resources and spiritual transformation seem to be central issues of the 3-year plan.
In Central Asia, we have about 40 LSA. Only through yes, we are Baha'i. But we can't to say we are 2 years Baha'i. No, I think we are all our life it was Baha'i.
In India, we tried an experiment, although with partial success, for enhancing the vitality of the believers. The majority of the believers live in villages, the rural parts.
Even these uneducated women, if they are given education, they become enlightened and they realize it.
Ndiyabulela uba ndibe kule ngqungquthela okokuqala.
I'm very grateful to be here in this convention for the first time in my life.
Umva wami ngokwenkolo bendingumwisile.
My background is from the Methodist Church.
Ndibulela ke uba ndimana ufumana ezimfundiso.
I'm very grateful to have these teachings bestowed on me.
Kangangokuba ndithe ndayifunda le message ndafumanisa into yoba thina maBaha'i singalishukumisa ilizwe.
When I read this message, it dawned into my mind that we Baha'is have got the capacity to move the world.
The Hand of the Cause of God, Amatul Baha Ruhiyya Khanum, addressed the final session.
One of the points that I felt that it was important for us to think about at the end of this very marvelous convention, because it's certainly the best convention that I have ever attended. Been a wonderful spirit, a very large representation of international Baha'i communities and many, many representatives of the National Assembly's large numbers, sometimes a total 9, have been present as delegates. And it's been a really glorious occasion.
As the convention drew to a close, the delegates traveled together for one last visit to Bahji in commemoration of the 12th and final day of the Rizwan festival.
I have been a Baha'i since 1959, but this was the first time I ever attended this international convention, and it is just indescribable. It is so many representation of so many countries, and just my heart was so overflowed with joy, and it's really touched to my core of my inside heart.
The spirituality of this meeting, it has been exceptional. I attended one before. This one is really something different. A heart-to-heart relationship, a simpler relationship between the delegates, simplicity, which is something grand. That's my point.
It's been a wonderful experience. I feel as if I'm halfway between this world and the next world, and it's sad to leave the friends, but of course we have an important task that the House of Justice has given us to enormously increase the number of believers that we have in our countries, and we're ready to go, and that's what we'll do.
Of the International Convention bore witness to the growing strength and maturation of the national spiritual assemblies worldwide. Likewise, in the 30 years since the Universal House of Justice first came into existence, the supreme institution of the Baha'i Faith has grown in stature and influence, directing the affairs of the faith from its seat on the slopes of Mount Carmel. Today, no visitor to Haifa can fail to notice the dramatic change taking place on the slopes of the mountain. The construction of the 18 terraces above and below the Shrine of the Bab, and construction of the remaining buildings of the World Administrative Center of the Faith. A major part of the project is the construction of 2 more of the great institutional centers, laid out in a great arc overlooking the serene beauty of the Monument Gardens.
This ark is based on 4 graves, 3 graves that are very sacred to the Baha'is because they are the members of the family of Baha'u'llah, his wife and her daughter and her son, the brother of Abdul-Baha. And this became the focal point, these graves, which I think is so extraordinary, of the whole administrative development of the Baha'i Faith at its world center. That is the International Archives, our International Baha'i Museum. Here will be another building in the Greek style, which will be for the study of the Baha'i writings. We have a wealth of original writings from Baha'u'llah, more than any religion has ever had in history, because he had 40 years in prison and exile in which he could occupy himself with writing, and it's all in handwriting. We don't have any priests, we have no interpretation, it's all there. Over there, opposite me on that side of the ark, there will be the building that belongs to the institution that I belong to, which is the International Teaching Center. And the job, if you like, of the members of that center and their auxiliaries, the counselors all over the Baha'i world, is the propagation of the Baha'i faith and the protection of the Baha'i faith. And it's a very dynamic work. This is executive, and this is protection and propagation. And it's rapidly spreading, as you know, all over the Baha'i world.
Buildings architect Hossein Amonat has given careful thought to all aspects of the design.
And these buildings have classic pavilions outside them, but in the basement they have lots of levels that are hidden under the ground, because the most important principle of the design here was that the beauty of the gardens and the dominance of the gardens would be always kept. And the buildings are really elements to decorate the gardens. They are pavilions in the gardens.
The most visible part of the project is the construction of the terraces above and below the Shrine of the Bab. The 19 terraces ascend from Ben Gurion Avenue at the base of the mountain to above Panorama Road at the very top. The experimental garden that has been constructed to test the suitability of various plant species on the mountainside provides a hint of the beauty of the new terraces. Despite the dangerously steep 30-degree slopes of the upper part of the mountain, the terraces will feature fountains at each level and a cascade of running water flowing down the entire mountain. Engineering for this beautiful but complex design calls for extensive plumbing and strong pumping stations buried into the mountainside at various levels. Multiple retaining walls are required, and the steep upper slope can only be ascended with staircases shaped into sweeping curves. Carved stone balustrades add beauty and safety to the design.
This is the sample that we have made from the balustrades in front of the terraces. We have more than 2,000 of these balustrades all along these terraces, and this is local stone, which is very dense and high quality, and it is a color that it's very familiar in this country, and people, all of the city, in fact, is from this stone.
2,000 lights will illuminate the terraces at night in memory of the dark prison cells where the Bab was confined in Maku and Sharik. The total Mount Carmel project, which is expected to cost more than $200 million, is divided into 7 phases, according to Terraces architect and project manager Farabor Sahba.
We have divided whole projects, which includes arc projects and terraces, to 7 phases. Phase 1 was completion and restoration and strengthening of the terrace of the Shrine of the Bab. This was the phase that it's now completed, and it extended the terrace of the Shrine of the Bab to a symmetrical situation. Phase 2, which was announced, was terraces below the Shrine of the Bab up to terrace number 3. That means 7 terraces below the Shrine of the Bab, and excavation of building of Center of Study of the Text. Phase 3 of our project, which again has started and it's progressing very well, is excavation of International Teaching Center together with terraces from number 15 to number 19. Phase 4, which we are preparing ourselves to start very soon, is the main construction of the main building of the Center of Study of the Text. Phase 5 is the construction of the actual building of the International Teaching Center, and this work we expect that will start with 1 year overlap with the last phase. Phase 6 is the terraces immediately above the Shrine of the Bab, bridge over Hatzianut Street, and terrace number 11, 12, 13. Phase 7, which is our last phase, is construction of terrace number 1 and number 2. And this is the part that we have to obtain some properties there, and that's why it is delayed till end of the developments.
In conjunction with the plans for the terraces, the city of Haifa has drawn up plans to restore the German Templar colony as an historic district and to transform the area at the base of the terraces into a pedestrian mall, reaching all the way to the port. The flurry of outward activity is but one indicator of the rapid expansion of the scope of the institutions of the Baha'i World Center. Immediately following the International Convention, members of the 5 continental boards of counselors convened for consultations on the progress of the cause. On June 5th, newly appointed counselor members of the International Teaching Center joined the Hands of the Cause of God, Ali Akbar Furatan and Ali Muhammad Varga, and the members of the Universal House of Justice for prayers in the Shrine of Baha'u'llah at Bachi. The assemblage then adjourned to the mansion, gathering for their first official meeting in a room frequently used by Shoghi Effendi, exploring the tasks facing the teaching center through the closing years of the 20th century. These institutions are gaining tremendous strength at the same time that the institutions of the existing order find themselves under increasing attack and disintegration. The 7th International Convention and the rapid developments of the international institutions of the Baha'i Faith on the slopes of Mount Carmel provide tangible confirmation of the generative unifying power unleashed by the revelation of Baha'u'llah that is rapidly coming to fruition in the closing years of this remarkable century.